Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Hey, how we doing out there this great Monday all across this great land of ours and around the world? It is indeed that time. It's time right now again for the Conservative Syndicate. We're glad to be back on the air after being gone a few days last week. We were at the Decision America prayer event with Franklin Graham up in Sacramento, so I do apologize if you guys got stuck listening to the same show over and over for a period of 2 or 3 days there. But, sometimes repetition is a good thing. And I'll tell you about that in a little bit here. I just want to get my arms stretched out here and get used to sitting in front of the mic again and doing what we do best on that show, and that's to educate, inform, and engage you, our listening audience. And I am so happy that we finally have my right-hand guy, the voice of reason on this show, Joe Hakos, is back with us right now. How are you doing, Joe? Joe, you there?
I am here. As you say, trying to get back into the swing of things. There's buttons that you have to push to make things like so you can hear.
Yeah, I know. Retraining's a bitch, man.
It helps when you push the right button. So yeah, I'm here. Hopefully, I don't know how long I'll try to tough it out. We'll see what happens. I don't know if I got 2 hours in me, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Okay. Well, whatever we can give you. We want you back in full force, so whatever you got to do, you got to do. That's the way it goes.
Well, I got to build up my stamina again and baby steps. So, hey, this is step number one.
Well, I'm glad to have you back. For sure.
Great to be back, actually. Thanks.
Yeah. So we got a couple. I've tried so hard to stay away from the narratives that are out there, just repeating what everybody else is saying. And if you've been listening to the show for any length of time, I think you'll understand that's what we try to do. That doesn't mean that we can avoid it altogether, because it is the narrative that drives all the issues right now. But sometimes we need to look down deep. We need to look beyond. What is driving the narrative? That seems to become my credo these days. I'm looking at what drives the narrative, because the narrative is what influences the electorate. And what we have here is a lot of bad influence out there in the electorate pushed through different narratives. And when we look at the atmosphere that we're in today, last night I was watching the 12th episode of a show called The Circus. It's on Showtime. It's a half-hour spiel by Mark McKinnon, who is a past strategist. He quit strategizing. I forget who he used to work for. He worked on the left for somebody, but he got out of the business because he said it was just so frustrating and, tasking and everything else. But so he's one of these guys that likes to sit on the sidelines and tape other people making fools of themselves, and then he just chuckles while he records everything. And the episode last night was on the upcoming Wisconsin primary, which I believe is tomorrow. Is that right? Is it tomorrow? It's this week sometime.
Yeah, it's tomorrow. It's Wisconsin. They're going to go do a primary thing tomorrow. Yeah. In between brats and beer.
Yeah. I'm sorry? Well, anyway, so McKinnon is interviewing some of these operatives out there. That's what he does. He tries to talk to the candidates, but the candidates pretty much are they avoid him kind of like the plague, because they know
who he is. They know who he is and what he's done.
Yeah, and there's always cameras running when he talks to them. The only one that really goes out of his way to talk to him is John Kasich, and that's because he kisses everybody's ass. So, that's standard operating procedure. But these operatives are all talking about, all saying basically one thing. The common thread in all of them is, I have never been through an election like this. This is like the most phenomenal thing, and there's good sides to it and there's bad sides to it, from their points of view. The activity and the awakening of some of the people out there that have been sitting around silent for so many years, and this, that, and the other, that's kind of exciting to them. But the other side of it is that if this thing all implodes, where do those people go? And do we just end up back with, the circus, that kind of thing? So that's really what it is. And when we were up in Sacramento this past week at this Decision America with Franklin Graham, we kind of saw that on full display. It was very much like a Tea Party rally. I felt very at home right when I showed up there. You had all the standard iconic symbols of the Tea Party and, of course, the Christian movement and everything else. And I felt very comfortable. I was there, as soon as I walked into it, it's like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm home. I know what's going on here. But on the left of us, on the other side of the Capitol, or one side of the Capitol building, it's really neat. The Capitol they have up there because they have three sides that all have steps leading into the building. So there's platform on all three sides, and so they had three different demonstrations going on. They had us in the main one, coming off of the main street, Capitol Avenue or whatever it's called. And on the left, they had the LGBT community, and on the right, they had the SEIU union. So there was two leftist versions of things going on, and we were in the middle. We were by far the largest. The papers were saying 7,500 people. I would imagine it was probably about, I'd say maybe 200 to 300 people in the gay rally, and probably about the same on the other side. But it was interesting, the interaction between the people in our group. It was very peaceful. They interacted, especially the LGBT group. The SEIU people, when their rally was over, a lot of them came over and joined us, actually melded into the crowd. And it was part of what was going on. Actually, I saw some of them praying with us and everything else. So that was a union thing. But then they come into, the Christian fold. The LGBT thing, I'll tell you what I really saw the most, what really impacted me the most, were the number of ministers there. Christian ministers, quote unquote, all looking kind of hippie-ish. Most of them had collars, so they were from, denominational or institutionalized religious organizations, probably Episcopalian, because they're really heavy into the homosexual activist movement. And I know a couple of them, at least a couple of them, were women, and you could tell they were gay. They were lesbian women, They have that look, the haircut, the whole 9 yards. Some of the other ones, I don't know if you know who Gene Scott is. He was a very popular rebel minister back in the 70s and the 80s. I remember when I first became a Christian, which was back in the early 80s, he had a really popular show, and he was based down in L.A. But this guy was just totally radical off the wall. We're talking about a guy that during his commercials, when he wanted to raise money, he would show 1 to 2 minute clips of girls in G-strings being pulled on roller skates behind a car. And that's how he would raise money. I mean, he was just really an off-the-wall guy, really intelligent guy, but completely missed the boat. Somewhere along the line, he crossed over to the dark side and became I don't know what do you call a minister that knows the Bible but just teaches everything wrong. Anyway, so
a sinner.
Yeah, I guess so. An apostate. Apostate. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Well, but who are we to judge? Just don't lead the children astray, because that's the one thing that gets you in trouble.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely right. But it was interesting that there was enough representation from the quote unquote church that it kind of was just very indicative of the paradigms and the problems that we have across the entire theological political spectrum today. Anyway, it was just everybody was represented. It was all peaceful. Even when the gay community came over behind us with their banners and signs while we were praying for them, and they came behind us, but they didn't interrupt us. They didn't disrupt anything. They just stood there. And so it was peaceful.
So they were photobombing you guys then, huh?
Yeah, it was. I guess so, because everybody was taking pictures of it. It was interesting. It was just the whole atmosphere was interesting, and so I think demonstrative of the environment that we're in today. And so it was neat. It was neat. I walked away going, yeah, okay. This is what America is about. That's
what the First Amendment is.
Right. This is what it's all about. Everybody expressing.
Hey, you've crossed over into our space now. This is our safe zone. Don't you, we can hear you over here. Stop that. That kind of thing. So that's good. I'm glad.
Yeah. And I would imagine they came over to our event because there were all types of TV cameras on our side and not on theirs. So you got to get into the photo op somehow. I guess that's how it works.
They were photobombing, so hey.
Yeah. So anyways, hey, look, we got to go to our first break here. And when we come back, I'm going to kind of lay out, as I started to say, I want to go a little bit deeper into the actual thought process and the paradigm of the elections going on right now, because there's something being put out there that people, I think, are at this point where they're just buying into it. The narrative, they're just buying it. And I see some things out there that may just shock a few people when all the dust finally clears. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews. My co-host, Joe Hakos. Glad to have him back, and I know he wants to talk. I'm going to try to give Joe as much airtime before he peters out on me today.
That's okay.
So anyway, guys, stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first, and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference. Don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Hey, and we are back. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I am your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos. Boy, I tell you, it sounds good to say that. and back finally here off his sick bed here. Going to sit with us for a while today, for as long as he can stand it, having gone through some treatment. So we'll just bear with him and just stay by his side here while he heals up. I said just before the break here, here's the situation as I see it right now. I see a lot of things being said out there, and a lot of it is just repetition. And the more that I listen to it, the more I keep thinking that gnawing feeling that has made me the mad prophet of the airways keeps coming up, keeps surfacing, and tells me that what we're hearing is not what is actually going on. There's a lot of, certainly there's evidence that there's a lot of what's being said is out there, but it's being shaped into a type of narrative that is being used to, once again, influence certain parts of the electorate to think one way or the other. In the case of Donald Trump, there's a lot of stuff going on out there as to whether or not Trump is actually going to take the nomination and whether or not he's going to need the 1,237 delegates to do it. The other side is saying, no, it's going to be a brokered convention, a contested convention, the reason John Kasich is hanging on kind of thing. On the left, it's, Bernie Sanders is he's given Hillary a run for her money, but he's going to get buried, and she's going to rise to the top of the cesspool known as the Democrat Party, and all will be well again. And whatever happens here, we're going to end up in a general election in which nobody from the GOP can possibly beat Hillary Clinton anyway. And so that's kind of like where the media is trying to take it, is that all this is all much about nothing, because in the end, none of the GOP candidates have a snowflake's chance in hell of winning against Hillary. Although there are those out there floating the idea that Kasich in certain polls could match up against Hillary and Sanders and give them a run for their money. But that's just to support the operatives. That's a narrative. See, the narratives are being put out there by different elements here. We really have the establishment on both sides playing into this election much more in the past, because of the fact in the past all they've had to do is just sit down and watch. They just coordinate, this is the one we want, and everybody goes about their business of making sure that that happens. And they don't really have to show, their scuzzy little faces. And they don't have to really do much more than just pump in the bucks and wait for things to happen. And this time around, it's not working that way. So we have seen over the course of this cycle, we've actually learned to recognize who some of these operatives are. And we found out that they're not really nice people. And it doesn't matter whether they're Republican or Democrat. These are people that play for keeps. And when I say they play for keeps, it's to either amass more power and wealth or protect the power and wealth that they have amassed. It's one or the other.
Period.
And so it's just there's a lot of that stuff going on here. Are you seeing that the same way, Joe?
Yeah, as I've been away, I've seen way too much television, and it doesn't matter what network you go to, it's the same thing. It's absolutely the same. It's ridiculous. I stopped watching. I absolutely stopped watching it because it was like, if you change the channel, you just get a different flavor of the same bullcrap. So it's absolutely that way. It's all, it's going to be a broker convention. Yeah. You know what? No. How do you know? There's no way they know that yet because there's still votes being counted. Tomorrow, right. Wisconsin's going to go ahead and do it. Nobody knows until they get done, until we have the primary processes on both sides. Now, the Democrats are shameless. They don't care. I mean, for crying out loud, Bernie can win a state or whatever. And in fact, what I hear, Clinton's lost the last 6 primaries she's been in, and yet she's still the presumptive nominee. Who is? I still think she's under investigation for some. I don't know. She jaywalked somewhere in New York or something, I believe, and threw away her tickets. Something I can't remember what it is, but somebody's investigating this woman, and they're trying to get her staff involved so they can go ahead and turn on her. It's unbelievable that what's going on here. And the fact is that you cannot hear anything bad about Hillary on any of the networks. You really don't. I mean, and here's the other thing, John. You were talking about the narrative. The narrative is Cruz is going after Trump is going after Cruz, and Kasich is just in there to be the spoiler. Well, what the narrative should be for conservatives, mind you, for conservatives, Cruz is not your enemy, Trump is not your enemy, and even Kasich is not your enemy. The person you need to worry about the most is Hillary Clinton. And that's who you should be railing against. And that's who you should be talking about. And her record. And how she's going to be a horrible president. I don't care if she has her vagina or not.
Right. Well, and that's exactly, you just said something here. This is exactly what the issue here. This is exactly what I'm talking about here. Instead of watching or hearing on the Megyn Kelly files, Bill O'Reilly, even Hannity, about what's going on the other side, whoever faces off, and if it is Hillary, if she does not get indicted, even if she does get indicted and they can't get old Uncle Joe, the old farts home or whatever to run, whatever the situation is, we're not hearing, you hear so little about what's going on with Hillary and even Sanders for that matter. Yep. It's all about the Trump-Cruz thing. It's all about the brokered convention. It's all about, we're going to actually end up with a Romney-Paul Ryan ticket, or we're going to end up with a Romney or a Paul Ryan-John Kasich ticket, and all this other stuff. And yet these are the same people that are sitting there telling us at the beginning and the end of these little episodes that they're putting out there every night that we have to unite. And so it's kind of like, it just seems to that Fox is, and probably has been, it's just become more noticeable and undeniable in this day and age that they are no more than MSNBC with a better looking stage, and maybe a couple better looking hosts. But it's all the same stuff. It's all about
absolutely
what it is. What you're doing is you're seeing the operatives and the establishment funneling the information and propaganda that they want through these people, and they're buying into it. Right now, Hannity's taking a lot of heat because he's given so much time to Trump. And when you see him talk to Trump, I keep expecting him to fall down and shine his shoes. He has gone out of his way. He's gone out of his way to kiss this man's butt. And it's just amazing to me. They spend half the time talking about what good friends they are rather than what's actually going on. It just gets my goat.
Well, let's look at it let's look at it rationally. Trump has a news conference. He's on television.
Right.
Trump sneezes in his airplane, and people are there. It's on television. Now, there are quote unquote 2 other candidates on the Republican side that are still running for president. The Kasich and the Cruz. Mm-hmm. But you don't see that happening for those guys.
Right.
So it's kind of like, well, it's quite obvious what's going on here. He's the front runner. Really? You got 2 other candidates here. What happened to the balance part? I don't even give a crap about fair because they're far beyond fair.
Well, that raises the other question, Joe. Knowing that Murdoch, the head of Fox News, is an establishment type, he is an operative on top of that.
Yep.
Why is he giving Trump so much time?
Well, because maybe Trump isn't so much an outsider as everybody wants to think he is.
Yeah, bingo. Trump is as much. Maybe that's the idea. Maybe the idea, since I've been saying on the show for quite a while now, Trump is part of the establishment. I don't buy into this at all that he's an outsider. I just don't. I don't, because here's a man who was openly and many times admitted that he plays the game. I give them money and they